All right, welcome to the Oregon Ducks Live on the Voice of College Football. I'm Bjorn Bergstrom.
I'm Brody Gobler.
And I'm Brendan Everly.
All right, on this podcast, we're going to be previewing Oregon versus James Madison, and then we're going to be previewing the other college football playoff games as well. All right, you guys ready to get into it?
Yep, I'm pumped.
All righty, let's get into it. So first, we'll preview the James Madison offense. So a little bit about them. 10th best scoring offense in the nation, 5th best rushing offense, 94th in passing. Coincidentally enough, their best player is Alonzo Barnett, the third, their quarterback. He's a Sun Belt Player of the Year, 6 foot, 217, 2,533 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 544 rush yards, 14 touchdowns. So he's a dual threat guy. He actually was in a quarterback competition at the beginning of the year, so he had to beat out Matthew Sluka, which guy was a UNLV transfer. Thought he was going to be the starter, but Barnett beat him out. Brody, how can the Oregon defense slow Barnett down, considering he's a dual threat guy?
Yeah, I think we're going to attack this game a little bit differently than we did the UW game. We were, worried about Denzel Boston on the outside, so we were in that two-eye shell, trying to limit those explosive bootleg passes that ended up going downfield. So I feel like we'll probably shift more to trying to stop the run first. So I think we'll have a more favorable count in the box, which we just didn't have with DeMond in UW. And you kind of saw that in that game. UW actually had a little bit of success on ground, but they really struggled trying to push the ball down the field like they did the rest of the season. I don't think JMU has as talented, not near as talented as a receiver, Denzel Boston. So I imagine we'll be playing Thieneman in the box a little bit more. Probably, going to try to stop the run first because I'm sure you'll get into it, but Wayne Knight, also very good and talented player. I think he was first team in the Sun Belt. So he's a really good running back. He's really explosive. Barnett's not as talented as a passer as DeMond, but I don't think we are as worried about him pushing the ball downfield. So I think definitely just playing a different style of defense, focusing on stopping the run rather than the explosive plays. And I think that will end up containing that JMU offense.
Yeah, the wide receivers, they don't have a wide receiver who's over 700 yards. So definitely not a Denzel Boston, Jacoby Wayne, Mekhi Lemon type of guy that they have to focus on the outside. Brendan, what kind of role do you think Thieneman will have to play?
Well, I mean, kind of Brady touched on it in the box. A spy role for the most part. I would argue he's probably our best open field tackle. I mean, we've been saying this for a long time. He's a great player. And he's kind of the guy that you want to kind of run the defense, especially if you're looking at our defense. He's the guy. He's experienced. He's been around for a while, and it feels like he's going to really make a serious impact in this game, even just looking ahead to it. But Barnett is good. He's a really good QB. I watched him quite a bit last year during some of the bowl pick'ems, like towards the end of last year, and he played well. I was a little surprised to see that the UNLV kid transferred there, considering Barnett had some playing time, and I was excited to see what kind of competition went down. And I mean, he is a talented passer, but I just don't think he has any great receivers. I mean, you guys have kind of really touched on everything. I think the only way that their offense gets moving is if they implement some rollouts or some QB design plays, some audibles. I know that DeMond did that against us, where we left the box really light for a play, and then DeMond audible to a QB draw, which or I think it was a QB power or something like that. But that could burn us a little bit, but I don't think so. I think our guys are just too big and too strong to prevent that kind of situation from happening.
Yeah, what they don't have on the outside, they make up for like with the running back, because Wayne Knight, like Brody said, he's their other best player on offense, and he's their leader in receptions. So Barnett really looks towards him. And Wayne Knight has an interesting profile. He's 5'7", 190 pounds. So he's a little guy, but he has some power, and he's super fast. He has 9 rushes over 30 yards, which is more than 90 FBS teams. So he's a home run threat whenever he gets the ball, especially in open space when he sees green grass. And he has great vision. Defenders don't see him, which helps out with that. So on the season, he's over 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 37 catches. That's a team high, 379 yards and a touchdown. So he's not not getting those big gains in the reception game, but he's Barnett's trusted target out of the backfield. So Brody, how can they stop Wayne Knight?
Well, I think it's the same way. They slow down Barnett. I think Barnett, 10 for 25 against Troy. So I think we're really going to be selling out to stop the run early in this game. Usually a running quarterback gets you an advantage in the run game and gets you, easier blocks for the offensive line because you only have to block 5 versus 6 in the box. But I don't see that as being as big of a problem. I think we're going to load the box, have one high safety, and that will just take care of that mathematical problem. And considering we are the more talented team, our linemen are bigger, stronger, and faster than their offensive linemen. Even if they do have the numbers in the run game, I just don't see them being able to find consistent success on the ground.
Yeah, we haven't faced Ducks haven't faced like a true dual threat guy. I mean, I guess DeMond is the blueprint for that so far, but Barnett brings a different aspect to the game with Knight in the backfield because Washington didn't really have that same explosive guy out of the backfield. Brendan, what's your thoughts on Knight's home run threat ability? Is that something that could power the Dukes over the Ducks, you think?
I mean, they're 20.5-point dogs for a reason, right? Right. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're 20.5, but
yeah,
they're big underdogs for a reason. I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, but if they want to beat us, he's gonna have to play a huge role. We've done a pretty good job this season holding a lot of really good running backs to low yardage. I mean, you go back to Penn State with Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I mean, you look at Darius Taylor from Minnesota, Jonah Coleman for UW. It just feels like every single week we do a good job of stopping the run. Like we stop, we did a good job with limiting the good receivers in Denzel Boston and also including in Mekhi Lemon. I mean, he was only held to a few receptions. Like if we can just do a good job to stop him, I don't think we really should worry about it. Which I guess that kind of makes sense, but he definitely has, a threat there. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think it's the defensive line, the presence along the D-line. There's 4 NFL guys for Oregon on the line and no NFL guys for JMU on their line. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things is just making sure that those guys get pressure. They can really cloud Barnett in the pocket or crowd him in the pocket, make him really put the game on his shoulders, on his arm, take his running ability away. I think that's the first key to success for stopping them. We can get into the defense as well. So the James Madison defense, 10th best in scoring as well. Second rushing, they allow under 80 yards a game. 12th in passing. Their best player is Trent Hendrick. He's the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. 96 total tackles, 3 sacks, 2 passes defense, a forced fumble. And as often is kind of the case for a group of 5 defenders, he's not the biggest, not the fastest, 6'4", 230, but he's got great instincts, and he's been around the program for 5 years, so he knows the defense. He's the leader. Brody, do you think he presents anything that the Ducks should avoid or game plan against, or should they just play their game?
I mean, I think with all great linebackers, it's really hard to game plan against them if they know where they're supposed to be and the angles of the blocks that the linemen need and who's going to block them on each specific run play. Like it really is hard to game plan for. Like they always are going to be a threat of being a game wrecker. But that being said, I don't think that he is talented enough, like athletically wise, to keep the Ducks behind the chains. Like I don't think we're going to be seeing many plays that go for negative yards in the rush game just because of how talented our offensive line is. And I think he can limit our rushers a little bit, but they are so talented that it's going to be a really rough game for him if he's going to continually be relied on his D-line and his other linebackers aren't giving him help. It's going to be hard for him to consistently tackle 3 of the most talented backs in the country while also fighting off, Pragon or World or whoever's trying to down block him in whatever concept we're running. So I think you should absolutely be aware of him. I think linebackers I mean, yeah, like I said, it's the hardest to game plan against, so he absolutely could play a role. And if JMU is going to keep it close, he's going to have to play the game of his life, in my opinion. So,
yeah, Brendan, what's your take on the kind of, they dominated at the line of scrimmage at the group of 5 level, but going against a top Power 5 team, do you think they have a chance to stop or even like slow down Oregon's rushing attack?
No. I mean, to be honest with you, like if you're like when it comes to like Division I football, I mean, realistically for any sport, but if we're looking at Division I football, even the differences between just conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten, they're on a tier of their own versus, the ACC and the Big 12. And the biggest difference between the best teams in the country and the worst teams in the country tends to be, I mean, yeah, you can have great skill position guys, but it really tends to be the big boys up front, whether that's the offensive line or the defensive line. Oregon has one of the best offensive lines in the country. They have for like the last 10 years, it feels like. And I expect them to just road grade through them this game. Like, yes, he's an impactful player. And as Brady mentioned, linebacker is kind of one of those positions where they can kind of move around and impact the game in a lot of different ways. I just don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah. And another thing is that Oregon's 3 receivers are all questionable: Evan Stewart, DeCorian Moore, and Gary Bryant. So that's another thing that could give them a bunch of weapons. But Brody, do you think there's any, as a offensive coach yourself, do you think there's any kind of difficulties in the game plan feeding so many different guys? Because Malik Benson, Jeremiah McClellan have stepped up. They were the fourth and fifth receivers to start the season, but they've shown that everybody can play. Is there any difficulty in game planning for all those guys?
I mean, it is really hard just to like manufacture touches for so many different guys, because when you have the talent of Kenyon Sadiq, and now you're seeing Jamari Johnson, and you're seeing De'Aaron Hill and Jordan Davison and all these weapons, it is kind of like a spoils the richest things, because you want to keep everyone happy. And when you spread the wealth, it is way harder to guard as a defense. So I don't know if it's necessarily like hard, but it's just like you got to be aware of it and think about it, and you can't be obvious in your play calls, like when you're going to go to a certain person or like what personnel package you have in the game, like determines like what you're going to get as far as like play call wise. Like I remember against Indiana, it felt like every time Jordan Davison and De'Aaron Hill were in the game, and De'Aaron Hill went to pistols outside zone. So you can't be predictable in your play call. So I would say that's the difficulty of it. It's not necessarily getting the ball to your players, but it's like, how can you be creative enough to get them to the players, but not so creative to the point where it's obvious that they're going to get the ball when they get in the game.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything to like Will Stein force feeding touches to the 3 guys that could potentially come back? Because I mean, if DeCorian Moore's coming back, Evan Stewart's coming back, do you make sure that they get a touch, or do you not worry about it? Just stick to the game plan. And if it's a pounding the ball on the ground, is that what you stick to?
I mean, I think Oregon just needs to focus on establishing the run early. I think just being able to move these guys and just prove that they're, I think they have the second best rush defense. Did you mention that earlier, Bjorn?
Yeah, JMU.
Yeah, they have a great rush defense. If we can prove that we can run the ball early, then it's going to open up everything else. And I think if we end up getting a couple score lead, we absolutely should focus on getting Eastu some in-game reps, and maybe Dak Moore a couple extra ones. I would like, those 2, if they are back, as well as Sadiq, to have at least, 5 targets each, and then make sure we're getting De'Aaron Hill, 5 to 10 touches, get Davison 10 to 15, and get Whittington 10 to 15. You just got to, ride the hot hand, but just try your best to get those guys that are coming back at least some rep, especially if we're up in the game.
Yeah, Brendan, where would you, so with the full set of like all the guys back, where would you rank the Ducks in this playoff field as far as like skill guys?
Skill guys? It's hard to really say that there's anybody that's better. I mean, I would say that with how much talent there is in the offense, it's a bit of a blessing and a curse. I mean, we've kind of touched on it. It's just, we're just too rich. And that's kind of the problem. Is it feels like somebody's going to want touches or want to make a big play, and they're not going to have the opportunity to do that. And we'll go somewhere else. But I mean, like you got 3 of the best running backs in the country. People are going to know who Jamari Johnson is next year. They don't know about him yet, but they will next year. And he's a phenomenal tight end. And Kenny Sadiq's going to be a first-round pick. Evan Stewart and Dak Moore, Dak Moore is the #1 freshman recruit in the country, very talented receiver. Evan Stewart, I mean, we already know who he is. McClellan, I mean, we've seen what Benson's done. Like, it's just there's so many weapons. I was not even talking about Gary Bryant, who's going to be a future Biletnikoff winner, maybe in his 10th year staying. But Gary Bryant's a phenomenal player. Like, he's an impactful guy. Like, he's a leader. He's a leader of the offense. And so it's just like I just can't – I don't see anybody else having as much talent and as much depth as we do, which I think is actually going to play an impactful role in this game is especially defensively. Like, we have so much depth, especially defensively. Like, we can rotate guys in. Like, JMU, you know, some of these group of 5 teams, some of these smaller schools, they have like certain guys that they rely on every single play, and it gets tiring. And I really do think that that's going to play a role in this game, whereas Oregon can just replenish talent, just, you know, take somebody out, put somebody else in who's just as good.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you on the skill position guys, and I think it's ironic that none of the wide receivers or running backs received all conference honors, but I think they're pretty consistently up there with the best because of that depth that you highlighted.
Yeah.
It's really amongst the best in the nation, top in the college football playoff field, and that's what makes both Dante's job and Will Stein's job so much easier, is that there are so many weapons. There's not a weak point, whether it's the first receiver or fifth receiver, and we don't even know who's that going to be in this game, but we know that everybody who goes in there can step up and make a big play. If you guys want to get into our best bets, we could do that. So every week, little review on this. We provide our best bet for the Duck game. As you can see, the records are at the bottom. Brody's 1-3, Brendan's on top at 3-1, and I'm right at 500 at 2-2. I can kick it off. My best bet is Oregon under 411.5 total yards. I think this is less a reflection of Oregon's offense and all the guys that they could potentially be getting back, but more so on James Madison's offense, is that they're going to play keep away. If they can establish anything on the line of scrimmage, this will be a huge success for them. And I think the Ducks will pound it on the ground too. And that's not as much as if they were putting it up through the air all the time. I think they could easily get over 250, even, I mean, I would say 250 by halftime, and then running the ball, clock running at halftime, after halftime. So I think I like the under 4-11, though. It's a tough one. I could definitely see it breaking open, getting to 450, but I think this one cashes. Brendan, what's yours?
So for mine, I also did a yardage one, but I did over 164.5 rush yards. The reason why is kind of the same thing, same reasonings kind of as Bjorn. It's going to be, I mean, the 20.5 point spread is kind of indicative to what we think is going to happen in this game. Oregon should be up a fair bit at halftime, and then towards the second half, we're just going to be running the ball. And I think, you know, chewing the clock. I mean, Deer Hill, Noah Whittington, Davison, they're one of those. Probably in this game, there will probably be 2 or 3 explosive runs between one of those 3 guys. And that's kind of really all you need. If we get 2 or 3 of those, you know, ripping off 40 yards each time, you're looking at 120, and then telling me that they're not going to get 45 yards on the ground between the 3 of them. I think that one feels pretty free.
Yeah, I think Dante's also going to be a factor in the run game as well. I think. Yeah,
that's true.
I can. It's kind of like Patrick Mahomes. He's always once he gets to the playoffs, his rushing attempts go way up. Because the regular season games, they don't want to get him hurt. And Dante has that ability to tuck it and run, some zone read options sort of things. And I think that could be employed into the game plan as well once it's the playoffs.
For sure.
Yeah, I think you see that you saw that consistently. Like with the big games, we ran him at Penn State in some need to have it down. So we ran him at Iowa a couple times. We ran him against UW. So I think that is a really good point, Bjorn. My bet, I think that, you know, any rust for the last, you know, little couple days that we've had off in the first quarter, covering a -6.5 spread is a little risky. So I went -6.5 second quarter spread because I do think Oregon's going to be up by, you know, 20 at halftime at least. And that's either going to come in the first or second quarter. And I feel like it's more likely going to be in the second quarter. So I went Oregon -6.5 second quarter spread.
So, Brody, with that, do you think that Oregon comes out with a bit of a lull, like in the first quarter? Is that what scares you off, the first quarter spread?
I mean, not really. But any time that you take some time off, you just never know what's going to happen first drive. And I feel like there's going to be more drives and more opportunities for Oregon to score from the end of the first quarter to the end of the second than there will be from the beginning of the game to the beginning of the second. So just
Gotcha.
like playing the numbers a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I'd bet that considering Brody's 1-3. So
yeah, you might want to
I would stay away.
Yeah, you might want to parlay mine the opposite of mine and Brendan's. You might win. So.
Very true.
So far.
No, it just means I'm due, Bjorn. That's what that means.
We'll see. Hey, it's playoffs, so step it up in the playoffs, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
I'm a clutch time player.
Okay. If you guys want to move on to previewing the other playoff games real quick, we're going to make our just game picks for those. Ole Miss and Tulane. Who you guys got for that one?
Ole Miss.
I don't know. Ty Thompson legacy game. I think it's incoming. I think Tulane. I don't know. I think Tulane might make it a little bit closer than the first game. I'd look into the spread, but I think Ole Miss is gonna win.
Yeah, it was 45-10. I think that was around week 3. It was just no contest. Jake Retzlaff had a bad game. That was the game that Trinidad Chambliss kind of stepped up. So I think, there's the head coaching thing, Pete Golding instead of Lane Kiffin, but that could go 2 different ways. That could really galvanize the team, or it could, take some. Tell your friends. Oh yeah, oh yeah. There we go. Getting some love on here. Yeah, but you'll see it right away how the team comes out of the gates, and how that Lane Kiffin leaving affects them.
Yeah,
but yeah, we're all in agreement. Ole Miss right there. And they'll play Georgia if they win, when they win.
Another rematch.
Yeah, and then so tonight at 5, so right after you're done watching this podcast, we'll tune into Alabama, Oklahoma. Ty Simpson against John Mateer. They already played.
Another rematch.
Yeah, I know. So, Brody, who you got?
A lot of people are like, I don't think that Alabama is gonna Oklahoma won the field position battle, and that's why they ended up winning that first game. And people aren't really sure if they can replicate that success, but the matter of fact is Oklahoma does have an elite defense, and Ty Simpson is buns, for lack of a better term. So I think that Oklahoma has already laid the blueprint and that they can replicate it. They're at home. Alabama's not been playing great football, so I think I'm going to go Oklahoma in this game.
Brendan?
Honestly, I think it's a coin flip. I think Brady's looking at it the wrong way. I don't think that Ty Simpson is the problem. I just think that Oklahoma might be a better team, but I'm actually taking Alabama. I'm taking it for the reason that John Mateer has had a lot of hype this year. His nickname was Johnny Football 2.0. I don't know why they give him the same nickname as Johnny Manziel. But it feels like he has not been playing well. The offense of Oklahoma has been just absolutely abysmal the last couple of weeks. And, Bama has kind of a reputation to uphold. And we'll see what Kalen DeBoer does. We know he's a good coach, as Duck fans. He kind of owns Dan Lanning. But I think that's going to play a factor. I don't know if Brent Venables is the guy. I don't know if he's that guy. So for that, I'm going to take Alabama. As much as I want to take Oklahoma and root for John Mateer, Wazoo legend, I'm going to take Alabama.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a good old.
What's that?
I was going to say, it's just going to be a good old tough SEC football game. The defense is so elite.
It's just different. I'm going to go with Jackson Johnson here. I'm going with Bama as well. Yeah. I think one interesting storyline, though, is Kalen DeBoer. I know his name's been floated with Michigan. He hasn't. Mm-hmm. He's denounced those. But, obviously that's what he's going to do, even if he is looking at that.
Apparently Michigan offered him a lot of money. And honestly, if they lose, I don't think it's going to be DeBoer's choice. If he wants to go to Michigan, he's going to get fired.
Yeah, 4 losses at Bama. That's 8 in 2 years. That's more than Nick Saban did in 5 years. That's hard to come back from. But I also, regarding that game, I don't think Mateer hasn't been the same since he came back from his hand injury. He whipped it around against LSU. He had 318 yards, but he also threw 3 picks. So I don't think he's not the same player that he was before that injury. And I don't think Ty Simpson is buns, Brody. I think he's a pretty good player. He just doesn't have a lot of help. Ryan Williams is chopping every pass. They have no run game. They were negative rush yards against Georgia. So I think I got Bama going into Norman and pulling it out. So we had 2-1 in agreement there. We'll see about Brody if he's a playoff performer.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Brody's been pretty.
I did
pretty
put Oklahoma money line, so I would bet on Bama winning. So
yeah.
Okay, there we go. I'm not super confident in Alabama, but that's if I was.
No, yeah, it does feel like a coin flip.
Yeah, this is definitely a coin flip. I mean, the spread's 1.5 for Oklahoma just because they have a home game, basically. So, but we'll see. That one's coming up in a half hour. Then the next game is Miami, Texas A&M. This is at 9 a.m. tomorrow Pacific time. This is Cristobal, former Duck head coach, Carson Beck, former Georgia Bulldog, going up against Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. Brendan, who you got for this one?
Honestly, I took Texas A&M in like my bowl pick'ems, and if I had bet money, I would have taken Texas A&M. But for whatever reason, I'm convincing myself that Miami's just going to win for no reason. I seen that Jeremiah Love was rooting for Texas A&M to put Miami in their place. But it feels like every single year, Mario Cristobal, he loses some absolutely awful games, and then he wins. Then he wins the game. So you're like, what in the world? How did you win this game? Like, it feels like it's gonna be one of those games. But A&M has just been getting fraud checked. They almost lost to South Carolina, which would have probably put them out of the playoffs, which is not really talked about at all. That would have been kind of crazy if that happened in hindsight. But I'm gonna take Texas A&M just because I can't root for Miami. I can't root for Mario Cristobal. But
Brody,
again,
yeah, I'm an avid Miami hater, but I did think that they deserved to be in the playoffs over Notre Dame. And I think Carson Beck, he's playing a little bit better football. He's kind of getting back to what he was that first couple weeks of the season. I think Miami's playing better football than Texas A&M right now. Cristobal is a big-time game coach, and I feel like they got a chip on their shoulder to prove something. I feel like A&M's, they played the bottom half of the SEC, and if they play the top half, I don't think they're in the playoff. And as much as it pains me, I'm going to be rooting for Texas A&M, but I'm going to pick Miami.
Okay. I think this is another coin flip, honestly.
Yeah,
I
agree.
The Hurricanes are playing so well coming into this game. Not as well as Notre Dame was, but that's a conversation for another day. But yeah, I think Carson Beck he has what it takes to go in there and come away with a win with his experience. He just needs to avoid turning the ball over. But I think Marcel Reed, he's talented. He's a talented passer. I wouldn't trust him completely, but if he keeps it on the ground, keeps the ball safe, I think their home field advantage is also going to play a huge factor. So I got Texas A&M in this one. Me and Brendan are in agreement again.
Both of them. But again, this one does feel like a coin flip. It's just so hard. Like Miami just feels like one of those teams that's going to win. They feel like I don't know. But I do love Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed's a fun player to watch. Yeah, I mean Miami sliding into that spot, they're going to be motivated to show the committee that they put the right team in there, and I think there's something to that. True.
That they didn't think they were going to get in, but they did, and they're playing with house money basically.
Yeah, I mean something else that should be talked about, I think, is as a fan of college football, these games, these Miami, Texas A&M games, and the Oklahoma Alabama game, they feel like coin flips. But then we look at Ole Miss and Tulane and Oregon and JMU, and it's like no doubt. And so it kind of feels like maybe the committee needs to look at that. I mean, I know Nick Saban talked about it, but as a Duck fan, yes, I appreciate the free win, or I guess quote unquote the free win. I mean, we could still lose, but in the media's eyes, it's a free win. But I still think I would rather watch a competitive game. I mean, as a Duck fan, the most exciting games that I've watched the last few years is Ohio State and Penn State. Penn State both times actually in the Big Ten championship, and now you want an exciting game to root for, and it feels like the playoffs just same thing with putting Arizona State in last year. Well, Arizona State played a good game, but I guess more so Boise State and Indiana. SMU. And Indiana and SMU. It just was like like, here, fine, you can make the playoffs. And so I want there to be more fun games, more exciting games. Like I want, like if Oregon were to win this game today, like we worked hard to get this home field advantage, and it doesn't feel like we're getting to utilize it as much as if we were playing a team like Notre Dame, Oregon, Notre Dame. A lot of fans would say that's a coin flip. I mean, I think we would win that game, but it would be a close game. Like Eugene, Oregon would be excited. Like there would be some excitement here. It's just kind of like, I guess it's JMU. We'll go. But.
So is the solution to that not? There's two. I think there's two options for that. Should there be home field in the quarterfinals or semifinals, or should there be no group of 5, or I guess group of 5 would have to be ranked in the top 12, not just an auto bid?
Do you want me to? I think if we're being completely honest, I mean I'm a baseball guy. Nick Saban kind of said that it was like the group of 5 is like AAA, and which I agree. I mean the talent level, the difference is astronomical. I mean we look at Mekhi Hughes, one of the best running backs in the portal, transferred to Oregon. It's 4th or 5th on the depth chart. It feels like with all of those guys, like Drew Mestermaker is like number 3 in the portal. If he transfers, he'll probably go to Oklahoma State. But if he were to transfer anywhere else, good chance he gets beat out. Like it's just a significant difference in just talent level. I think if you do both, if you do what's it called? If you do the home team fields, the home field advantages for the quarterfinals and semifinals also. That's something that I think is also a good option, just more exciting for the sport. But I think with the group of 5 schools, like they should just play their own national championship. Like you can, you know what I mean? It's like FCS. It's not the same as FCS because I still think that these group of 5 teams would probably beat most of those FCS teams pretty handedly. But it's the same situation.
Yeah, I think it should be. I like the home field advantage in the quarters and semis, but I also think that if a group of 5 team is to make it, they have to be ranked in the top 12. It has to be a sort of Boise State year, a Cincinnati type of year.
But again, like even if we're talking about those teams, like you're telling me that the top 20 teams in the country aren't going to go in there and wipe the floor with Cincinnati, or Boise State gave Oregon a scare last year, but that was early on in the season. If Oregon played them again later on in the year, come on. Like
but if the committee ranks them up there, I think and the AP poll and committee rank them in there, I think they should be, and they deserve it. That's what they're ultimately playing for.
They rank them there because they haven't lost, right? Like it's the equivalent. Like like a 6-5 Big Ten team can probably beat a 10-2 Sun Belt team. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah. Brody, what's your take on this?
I think it's good for the sport to have at least one group of 5 representative. I think the only reason we have 2 this year is because Power 4, like those teams were kind of greedy and they were kind of worried about being left out of the playoff. I think if they didn't have those 4 auto bids, then we wouldn't be in this situation. I don't think anyone would really care. I think the one group of 5 team is good for the sport because it forces you guys to watch those games and talk about these teams. And they get a lot of money that boosts their program for making the playoffs. And I just think it means more each week because they have to win out. And kind of like group of 5 is kind of like old college football. Like if you lose 1 or 2 games, like you're out the playoff, you have no shot. And I think it makes those games like worth watching. And as far as I think home field like absolutely should be semis and quarters. Like you look at Ole Miss right now, I think it said like $70 million in profit for Tulane coming into town. Like it's so good for the like local economies for these teams that are hosting. And I think it would be even better if you have the quarters and the semis too. And I think that's what makes college football is those high intensity home games. Like, UW, like when we went to UW coming into Oregon, like 6 years ago, like that's a big game. Like that's exciting. That's what college football is about. It's those close games at home where you rush the field and you're with your friends or you're with your family or whatever. Like that's what college football should be about, not trying to make money and like, let's play a Fiesta Bowl in Arizona. No one cares if you win the Fiesta Bowl anymore. It's just they care if you win the national championship. And I think we're like, it's just not. I just don't get the point of not playing them on campus, honestly. Like work for your spot to get home field advantage and then prove it.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of common sense points there, but as we've seen, college football, there's no commissioner. It's all just a power struggle at the top between the Big Ten and SEC commissioners, and there's no real common sense for everybody. They make a lot of irrational decisions that are just chasing the money. And what you're talking about isn't really chasing the money. It's the money for like these local communities. But that's not what college football, the leaders are really thinking about. They're thinking about the TV deals.
Yeah. Yeah. And Brady, to your point of like the group of five, like, oh, they get paid. How many group of five games did you watch this year? Be 100% honest with me.
I watched the 2 championship games. That's all I watched.
Exactly my point. Like, so it's kind of ironic of you saying that. Whereas if you give the group of five a college football playoff, like I actually, believe it or not, I actually watch the FCS playoff games. Like if you do a college, like if you do a group of five playoff, I will watch those games. Like I want to see who's playing. Like I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I watch the playoffs. If there's a playoff setting, like think about it, you're including more schools in that don't really have much of a chance in, like power conference Division I to compete to get nationally televised and play in big games and gain all this support. And I think that that's something that needs to be considered. And you can still pay them. Like you still pay you make it so that you pay the top 4 teams. Like that way you're actually paying even more teams in the group of 5. But it's just like nobody wants to see these bummy teams go up against powerhouses.
But at the same time, like Boise State and UCF and Cincinnati, like I think those are teams that legitimately were good teams and could compete with
UCF
any of the top.
Cincinnati are, they're not power conference teams.
UCF won a national title. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Shut up.
Yeah, but those are group of 5. They're both group of 5 teams, though. Or Cincinnati was. I think I don't know.
UCF's not a group of 5 team anymore. But again, like where is Cincinnati? Where is UCF? Where's the program like that they're supposed to be? Like they're irrelevant, right? And like they're 1 year of being competent, and then they get blown out. Like UCF got left out of the playoffs for a reason a long time ago, and it's the same reason that if Cincinnati, the same reason that happened with Cincinnati, like or even a team like TCU against Georgia and then Natty, like the group of 5 teams need to just play their own like championship. Like as an athlete, like we know the difference. Like Bjorn, you played football in college. There's a significant difference between D3, high level D2, low Division I, and even high Division I. Like FCS, group of 5, and power. Like there's just a significant difference, and it's not their fault. It's just the product on the field. I want the best product on the field. I don't want this rollover Oregon game like where Oregon's going to win by 30 points. It feels like I'm watching Oregon versus Oklahoma State again, right? Like I want the big games. Like that's why people like the SEC, because every week it's a big game. As much as we hate on the SEC, like they play in big games every week. Like everybody tunes in to watch Alabama play against Ole Miss. Everybody tunes in to watch Alabama play against Georgia. Like we want those games, right? Give these lower levels, these lower schools the same like opportunity, like to go and play the Sun Belt could be a power conference of the group of 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like Army, Navy, like those games could mean even more if they were competing for a playoff spot in group of 5. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea. Like I hadn't heard anybody bring that up. But there's a lot of logistics that it, has to work with, because that means kind of bowl games they're already going extinct, but with group of 5, that makes up a lot of the bowl field, especially this first week.
Give them a playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great idea. I don't think they would do it, but
I was gonna say I do really like the idea, and I think that would make us watch all of those games. I think they should have their own playoff, but I think if they're good enough, like Boise State or Cincinnati or UCF in those years, they should be allowed in the normal playoff too. Like I don't think they should be excluded. And that's like the conversation: would they rather play for the group of 5 national championship, or would they rather play for the overall national championship? and then there might be problems there. But I think it would be a really cool idea if they could figure out, that part of the logistics. But I do want to say one more thing before this topic. I do genuinely think that the games this year are still better with the 2 group of 5 teams than they were last year. Because last year, I feel like I knew Ohio State was going to beat Tennessee. Like, that was like the closest game. But we played Ohio State. We knew how good they were. They just get owned by Michigan, and we beat them. So, and we were a good team last year. And we knew SMU was going to lose Penn State, and we knew Indiana was going to get blown out, and we knew Clemson was not going to beat Texas. So it's like the first round felt completely useless last year, but this year it feels like we have 2 coin flip games. And even the Tulane Ole Miss game is, a little bit more interesting than it was earlier in the season. So I feel like the games overall are better this season, even with 2 group of 5 teams. But that being said, if it was Notre Dame, Ole Miss instead of Tulane, like, come on, like that's peak college football. So I see what you're saying, but
yeah, I think this comment is worth addressing, just revenue share to level the playing field. And I think that backs up, my argument on college football just needs a commissioner to oversee the entire, all the teams. Because it's just the power struggle between the big conferences, and it leaves out the ACC, Big 12. The level of play isn't the same, but those conferences are getting left out. Group of 5, you get 1 auto bid, and then I guess this is a fluky year where you get 2. But I think, considering like Brendan's argument of the group of 5 playoff, I think we're closer to college football just turning into a big super conference, like all the power conference teams in one conference, than we are to a group of 5 playoff. And I think that's sad, because that's not what the college football that we grew up with. That's not the college football that we know. But it's all about the money now.
It is. But something else that could be fun to, I guess, conspire is especially if we're talking about like a super conference, is if you, I don't know if you guys know about anything about like soccer overseas, but if you're looking at, like relegation, you could have like 3 things. You have FCS, and then group of 5, and then, power conference. And you could run like a little bit of a relegation system, to the bottom teams, they bump down, the top teams there, they bump up. It just, it can make things more exciting. You have like Division 2, I guess it's not actually NCAA Division 2, but that's what it would be called, would be Division 2, Division 1. I don't know. It could be a fun, like theoretical idea. I don't know. It's all about the money right now. That's the problem with college football.
Yeah. Speaking of the money, Gustav posts here, I heard today that QB makes more NIL than the entire JMU team. Yeah, Bob Chesney said that Bob Chesney said their NIL fund is just around $1 million. Dante is making well over that. And especially if he comes back next year, he could push $5-6 million. So that's just what college football is. It's all about the money.
Yeah. If the rumors are true, our red-shirted 4th-string, 5th-string running back makes more money than the entire JMU roster too. So
he did get paid over $1 million.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's just what college football is today. So just got to roll with the punches.
Yeah.
All right. You guys ready to wrap this up?
Yep.
All righty. Thank you guys for listening to the Oregon Ducks Live on the Voice of College Football. Have a good rest of your night.
Peace.